Hello, welcome to Podcast versus Player Spoilercast for Loki Season 2. We're on episode 4, and I'm here with Dan.
Yes, you are.
He is definitely here. We're on episode 4, Dan, Heart of the TVA.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, bit of a surprise twist to this episode. Something I didn't see coming.
Yeah, in the sense of the third act of the episode, so the last sort of like 10-15 minutes or so, was like, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? But everything building up to that was just sort of like, how long are you going to have a conversation in this pie room? Like,
yeah.
You're just having a big old chat. Everyone, it felt very much like they were just like, right, we've got a bunch of stuff that needs to happen in this, but it all needs to happen at the end, which means that we need to build up a lot of extra stuff throughout the rest of the episode, and then out of nowhere, this is all just going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's in the name of the title, but very much spoilers for episode 4.
I would just something I want to point out. Did you notice the pie room? They only have key lime pie.
Yeah, it's always only had key lime pie.
I didn't reckon. I just thought that was like a section of the pie room.
No,
it like, turns out it's all of it.
I reckon it could just be that like it's just like a weird aesthetic choice that they've just gone, yeah, fuck it, they could just all be exactly the same. Or it could just be like one of those like weird lore things where it's like, of all space and time, of all possible universes and multiverses, this is the best piece of pie that has ever existed. So there's no need to sell or provide any other cake. Like this is the one, and then it's just replicated 1 billion times.
Yes, but what if you don't like key lime?
Which would be exactly my point, because I'm not that big of a fan of it. So if I worked at the TVA, I'd be like, this all looks very good, but can I have like a giant Yorkshire pudding that's full of ice cream, or a giant Yorkshire pudding with a Viennetta in the middle of it? Give me one of them for pudding. That sounds more like it.
But wouldn't they do that in sections? So this section is the best key lime pie. This section is the best cheesecake.
Ooh.
This section is the best gatto. This section. So there's only like, I don't know, 20 flavors of different like desserts, but they're all the best.
But does that mean that they only serve desserts there?
I mean, that's what it seemed. Like, I haven't seen anyone have anything else other than hot chocolate on this episode.
That's true, yeah.
Which I will say looked fucking shit when he poured it, but when it spilled all over the floor,
it looks like the best hot chocolate I've ever seen. It was like it's creamy, thick. It looked like gravy.
It looked like what's that milkshake? Not Yazoo, Friggy.
Oh, the stuff that they keep banging on about is like the best stuff, and even though it tastes like just chemical garbage.
Yeah, it like visually though, I think it looks like a nice milkshake. Doesn't taste it.
No.
It tastes rancid.
There's probably zero milk in it. That's why.
Yeah, most likely. But like, if you pour it in a glass, you go, "Oh, that looks real good."
Yeah, it's like thick and like again, it's like they've designed it for a picture on a McDonald's wall.
Yeah,
like it's a food thing rather than when you taste it, you go, I think the plastic that it came in would taste better.
I mean, with this, I think it could just be a case of it's Loki, so they've gone, here's a green cake.
Potentially. Yeah, that would be a bit more like it. But answer me this though, right? He absolutely flips out when Morpheus is drinking hot chocolate, right? And he's like, there's a machine for hot chocolate. Sorry. You can get hot chocolate from a machine. You've designed a machine that controls time. This is the thing that you're going, whoa, this is what kind of crazy future is this? Where you can get hot chocolate out of a machine. Mate, I could give you half an hour and a box of biscuits and you can make that shit yourself. Like, he's a genius that can create a thing that controls time, but a hot chocolate machine. And then he goes and gets it, and then he gives it to his work friend who's just followed him there. He's like, yeah, I'll take him down to the hot chocolate machine. And then he gives it to him, and then he's like, oh, try it. Like, that whole thing, and then he's sort of like, what was all that about? Like, have I missed something? Because that just seemed like it seemed to be this whole build-up for this thing, and then the guy just got pruned.
Because I thought originally, like when he's giving it to him, and then he tastes it, and then he's just like, oh, like he doesn't say, but like, oh, that's really good. I thought he'd either put something in it or done something to the
That's
machine.
what I thought. Like he poisoned it or something like that, so he could get out of there. Or like I thought there was something at play because then he was like, it was just. I don't know if it's kind of great because it shows him as this like weird eccentric. He's like, I've got this. This is an incredible thing, but rather than me just drink it, I'd like to share it with somebody else, like which is quite sweet. Or he has poisoned it and done something to it, and then he gives it to a guy and then kills him. Like that whole thing just seemed really odd for like 5 minutes. All about this hot chocolate thing, which then had no further impact on anything else.
I know it was to progress the story along, like he gets pruned, they take him away like captive or whatever. But would not have made more sense. And he's like, wait, like this hot chocolate. Wait, what's this hot chocolate machine? Morpheus just goes, Mobius just goes, right.
Morpheus, thank you.
You crack on with this, which is like our entire Earth and universe, rather, is at stake here. You carry on. I'll go and get you a hot chocolate, and I'll come back because I got nothing else to do.
I mean, Sylvie was quite right in that aspect, where she was like when they've finished, sort of like, okay, well, what can we do? And they're like, well, not really much. Like Obi and Kang have pretty much got it. Sorry, Victor, they've got to do building of stuff themselves. So they're like, okay, well, we will just go. And then Morbius is like, should we just get some pie? And Sylvie's like, what do you mean you want to get some pie? Like, the world's about to explode and time and whatever. But she's quite right. Like, this isn't the time for pie, mate. You brought me here to help out, and the help that I need to give is nothing. I'm just here to die. That's what you brought me here for.
I agreed with her, but not the outburst of it. Because we've gotten used to that at the TVA, where it's just a case of, well, we get some pie or something, because that's just what they've been doing. So it didn't seem like that big of a deal. But she's 100% right for
well, think about it,
about
right? If you were if someone dragged you onto a submarine, right, and then took you right down to the bottom of the ocean, and the submarine kept creaking and cracking, and you know that it's just a matter of time before the hull breaks and everybody dies.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, okay, well, the engineers are sorting it out. Do you want to get a bacon sandwich? I'd be like, no, can we just, I don't care if it's just pointless work. You need to get me to do something that makes all of this worth it. I'm not going to die at the bottom of the sea eating a bacon sandwich.
Is it a TVA bacon sandwich? It was the best bacon sandwich in the world.
I'd expect about 12 different rooms where one's pie, one's bacon sandwiches, one's cups of tea, like the best cups of tea that you could ever have.
Or coffee.
Nah.
I don't. I want coffee.
Nah. You're working at the wrong TVA if you just go get the best coffee ever.
That's what the T stands for.
Oh, the TVA. So there's you've not brought any notes to the table, Callum, so I'm disappointed. But I know that we can talk about the last 10 minutes or so.
Let's jump into the big.
No, because I've got stuff that I've noted down. Just because you haven't bothered doesn't mean that I'm going to skip over some bits that I've got questions about. So shut up.
You watched it late.
I didn't watch it late. We were still going to record this today. It doesn't matter if I watched this last week or today. It made literally no difference. But when, literally right at the start, when there's Miss Minutes and Renslayer in Kang's end of time bunker, and she's like, "Oh, I've got a recording of like the last time you were here," sort of thing. Shows her that, but it's like in this tiny little diorama box. Why aren't people doing that more? That was cool. I don't want to just watch another recording on another screen, which is what they did in the first season, where it was like, here's just the Avengers again. Recapped. Cool. This is like, we've just shot a little bit in a box, and you can just watch that back. Brilliant. Love that.
Yeah. Visually, very good.
Yeah. They also mentioned, so Miss Minutes basically at the end of the last episode was like, I've got a big secret about you. And then the secret that she's on about is that Renslayer presumably fought with this version of Kang in the Kang Wars or whatever you want to call them. Like
she led the army, didn't?
Yeah, so she was an actual general in his army, like getting rid of all the other Kangs, I suppose, or beating all the other Kangs, whatever it is that they've done. Then they've started the TVA together, and then she goes back to the TVA, and then he can just send Miss Minutes in to just go wipe everyone's memories. So Miss Minutes is an AI. How can she wipe people's memories?
I assume there's some kind of neuro thing connected to the people of the TVA.
So, like, if you're in there, you're like, think of it like the Matrix. Like, everyone's hooked up. And, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that would make sense.
That's the only way I can think about it. Because we actually mentioned this on the first episode of season 2 of the Loki Spoilercast, where we were saying there was that weird kind of vague reference to the X-Men with the door. And we said, like, Kang hasn't got the abilities to wipe people's memories, but someone like Professor X does.
Yes.
And he's shown in the past he can wipe people, like, all across America. He'll wipe everyone's fucking minds. So having Miss Minutes do it makes sense in the fact that Kang can't do it, but doesn't make sense in the sense that she hasn't got superpowers. Yeah. So the only way I can think of it, and I hope they do explain it, maybe we see another diorama video or whatever. But the only way I can think of doing it is everyone at the TVA is like neurologically linked to like a system. Maybe.
But then it would seem to me that she lived her life like a camel.
I knew that was
coming. I know we were all going to do the joke. Don't worry about it. But it seems to me, right, that if she has that kind of control over people's memories or whatever, as soon as she's back in the building and starts fucking with all the machinery and trying to fuck everybody over, which is, that's exactly what she would do. If you can just wipe everyone's memory, just do that again. Bang, you win, because no one's going to know what the fuck's going on.
Maybe they can't because they've got free will now. Maybe they broke the system.
But then that would be, that means that the mind-changing powers or whatever were tied to Kang, which means that he does have some sort of powers.
I don't know.
Exactly. It's an interesting one, isn't
But
it?
it's still her that's wiping the minds, though.
But if she's part of the base and there's like you can just leak a gas or there's nanites in the air or whatever, like everyone who's just taken off their timelines from the TVA, they have like some nano injection and just you can just control their brain function to some degree.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, or it just restarts their brains from like their original point in time. So like when they were first pulled from their timeline.
I still prefer your theory. And I was very disappointed that didn't happen.
Oh, that Renslayer was another variant.
Yeah.
A Kang variant, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean...
that was more interesting.
It would have been. But like I said in the last episode, it would be like that'd be a cool little twist. But it would just be, it's just another variant. Like, that's the Loki Sylvie dynamic, is that they're a variant of each other, and then we just get another one.
But it's again. I mean, the fact it hasn't happened by now means it's probably not going to happen. But because we don't know Jonathan Majors, we don't know his longevity within the MCU because of outside situations. It's an easy swap. And arguably, you could do the same thing where they just bring in another person and just go, yeah, he's a variant.
Yeah.
Because
they don't have to look the same. Yeah.
No, and that's proven with Loki and Sylvie, the other Lokis, etc. Spider-Man and the 3 different versions of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it just wasn't very interesting to go, I got a secret about you. You led an army. Okay.
Show me that.
She was already running the TVA. She already had an army.
Yeah, but not really. I mean, I'd want to see her as this general. Like, what kind of power did she have? Like, what kind of army was he controlling? Like, show me a bit of that. Like, even a sense of it would be like, it would put her in a whole new perspective, I think.
It's got to be strong enough to fight off all the different versions of Kang.
That's what I mean. Like,
So
maybe they go, we don't have the budget for that for like a 6-8 episodes TV
Let's
show.
just have them coming in one at a time.
I mean, have you seen Endgame? Like, that took years to get to that point. It cost millions.
Just show us that. Deep fake is Kang's face onto everyone.
Yeah. Everyone is Kang. That'd be incredible. It's just the exact shot for shot, but it's just they've just deep faked him onto everything. Do you know what? I'd be like, if you were to say, oh, it just looks exactly like everything that happened in Endgame, but infinite timeline. So infinite timelines means that there would be one where it's exactly the same as Endgame, but it was all Jonathan Majors fighting himself. If they said that that's what it was, I'd be like, do you know what? Fair play.
It's a cop out, but you've got a
you
valid
know what
argument.
you've done, and you're okay with it, and so am I, and that's okay. But no, she's a general, which again I kind of like. Oh, I'm like, okay, well that could be interesting. I want to see that. Unless we're getting some sort of like flashbacky kind of stuff, or again, like other recordings that Miss Minutes might have.
They're gonna have to show something.
Maybe, otherwise it's a throwaway line that didn't mean anything. It's not the biggest secret that Miss Minutes was making it out to be.
They do it with Loki, where there'll be a vague reference to something that happened within the movies, or like even in this episode, and she's like, this is like we're playing gods, and I said it before he said his line though. Where he's just like, we are gods.
We are God. Yeah, I've got that written here as well. We are gods. ...
Yeah.
Because I was just like, that's a good line, but it's because it doesn't feel like they are outside of like once they're in the TVA. You're not. You're just.
Well, they are now because they've turned the dampeners off.
Also, yeah, I've got a note about that as well. So that means that the TVA has a magic dampening field.
Yeah.
So that means that not only that they can control time, but they can control magic as well.
But does that mean so if Thanos went there, or a better example, if Spider-Man went there, he'd still have all of his powers?
Yeah, because they're based within his body rather than within a universe, I guess.
And
to be fair, like his web slingers, his web shooters and stuff, they're not based on anything. Like
no, but like his super strength, speed,
I'd assume
sense,
so,
etc.
Yeah. But like Sylvie rips that fucking panel off the lift, so she's still very strong. She just can't do magic stuff.
I guess, yeah, because we haven't actually seen Loki do a lot of stuff other than running and
hair flicking.
Yeah. But obviously they've got the powers back and stuff now. But it's fine to throw these like throwaway references for Loki because we've seen them. We already know they've happened. But when you get a character like Renslayer, who up until this season hasn't really done a lot, like she's popped up here and there in the last season.
She's in charge, but
yeah. But then to go, you controlled an army that fought off all of the other Kang variants that allowed us to make the TVA and to make the sacred timeline. Yada 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 yada. You got to show us.
Yeah, that is
because we haven't seen it.
Like, what would that look like? That would be unreal. Like, that is like Avengers wouldn't be able to handle that kind of shit.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I know we've got other things to say about it, but like, Ant-Man has it's a bit of a challenging battle with Kang in Quantumania. And if it wasn't for all of the fucking villagers that he rounded up together and the super ants that come and save the day and stuff, obviously he wouldn't have won. You put 100 of them, you got no fucking chance, realistically. Without even if you've got the full Avengers team together, they're gonna struggle. And I suppose if you're going into that budget of, well, we've got all of the Avengers and maybe the X-Men or whatever, then you'd also have someone like Doctor Strange just going into different times and just going, other Avengers from this timeline, come with me. Other Avengers from this timeline, come with me. And just get everyone together.
Illuminati it. You just go, right, you're the best of all. Like, so we've got the Tony Stark that's the best Tony Stark of all the Tony Starks. Yeah. So this Tony Stark, you're on the Temporal Avengers or the Multi-Dimensional Avengers. Like
I like Temporal. That's a good name for a team.
But
Temporal.
What, the Temporal Avengers?
Yeah, I like that.
Well, there you go. Copyright me, thank you. But you could have you go, okay, well there's a million billion Doctor Stranges. This one's the best one though. Again, he was part of this Illuminati thing, so he either started it, I think, or he was like, I think it was his universe that created the
Professor X that starts.
Oh, was it? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Either way, though, but do you know what I mean? Like, there'll be an infinite number of Wolverines. They're all basically the same, but, you know, some of them are far more drastic than others. But this one's the best one. He's got the best healing factor. He's the strongest. He's the best of heart. He's whatever. Like, you could form that team, and that's who would have to go after these infinite Kangs. But maybe because that in itself, this Kang War, would be so unbelievably powerful to try and do it justice in this. They're probably like, nah, we'll need that would need to be a thing of its own to
It'd have to be a film.
But that's the thing. I don't even think just having that as part of a film. I just don't think that would do it justice because it'd be so insane.
It'd have to be 2 seasons of the Kang. Actually call it the Kang Dynasty as the thing is leading up to be. But it's 2 seasons of that, and then a film. But the 2-hour film is just the battle that the 2 seasons have been leading up to.
It'd be the best $300 million that Hollywood's ever spent.
And then there's another season after the battle that's just kind of dealing with the aftermath.
But then you've got 30 Iron Men, 16 different Captain America. Oh, it'd be fucking unreal.
If people are getting Marvel fatigue now, just wait.
But that's the thing. That's the one thing you'd be like, okay, that's so good. That would bring everybody back in. But then you're like, how the fuck do we beat that now? What can we do that's better than that?
Then they go, oh no, one of the Doctor Strange variants has got through.
Do that again.
This is an evil one, but he's also got all the powers of the girl from Game of Thrones from Secret Invasion.
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I can't remember her name in Secret Invasion. You know the girl in Secret Invasion that gets all the fucking powers?
Oh, Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, she's out of Game of Thrones.
Woman. King girl.
Female! She's younger than me, so...
I think she is, yeah.
Yeah, she definitely is. I say definitely, I don't know. I assume. It's irrelevant. All I'm saying is, that's what we've had building up to. Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
So, as long as they handle Kang better than that, we're alright. I don't think it's going to be what we want it to be, though.
No, but that might be...
expectations.
Yeah, but that's why they could just be like, we'll just we'll lay some groundwork, we'll talk a little bit about it.
Because that is a movie coming up, isn't it? Kang Dynasty.
Apparently, yeah. It'll be your next Avengers level. That's what's going to get the new Avengers all together. It'll be that.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was a part of that is quite interesting. It's not quite the cliffhanger that they led it to believe at the last episode, but that's fine. Yeah, that's why you have cliffhangers. Sometimes they pay off big time. Sometimes they won't. There's a part where OB and Victor Timely meet each other.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I wrote all my stuff based on you. It's like, oh yeah, well I wrote all my stuff based on you. So that got me thinking, right? So we talked about this before when Loki goes back in time, when he's sort of flitting in between times, and he goes back and he meets OB in the past, and he says, oh, you need to build this this thing for the loom. And then when he goes back to the present, he's like, oh yeah, I've got it here. I do remember you. Yeah, I've got this thing next to me because it's been there for 300 years or whatever. So him going back in time had physically changed what was happening in the present.
Yeah.
So does that mean that OB's work was always based on Victor Timely's stuff? Or when Victor Timely was uplifted, if you want to think of it like that, by Renslayer and Miss Minutes in the past, by being given a copy of the TVA manual, does that mean that affected what created the stuff for OB? Is it a temporal paradox? Or did him coming through into the TVA and being exposed to all of this, has that changed what created the TVA handbook?
Well, I've got a feeling that...
Is it dancing on the ceiling?
It could be. But, they basically just picked this Victor and went back. I don't think it was always meant to be he always found the book, and then that led him on this path.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Again, that's just a feeling I've got. Because if OB writes the manual,
yeah,
and a lot of the stuff is kind of like thoughts and doodles, the same as Victor's are, and then Victor kind of perfects them, I guess, to make them work. But I don't think you need both of them, otherwise one will fail. Obi is clearly knows what the fuck he's on about, and he's done a good job of keeping the TVA running and not imploding on itself. And there's every possibility a lot of the stuff that's happening isn't purely because of the different branches coming off. It could be a case of this is the wrong Kang. He shouldn't be here. But I don't know because they don't explain it, and I don't think it's something that they have to. Like with some things, like especially when it comes to time and everything.
Yeah.
If you leave yourself open for, well, how the shit did that happen because of this thing? Whereas this, it just seems that as long as they've got a version of like a variant of Kang, they can make this one the Kang. But then in this episode, Miss Minutes specifically says
you'll never be him. Yeah.
So it's almost like, and then with them basically going, we don't fucking need him. Miss Minutes and Renslayer can do it without him. Then the only reason they needed Kang was to open the door to get to the loom.
Yep.
So potentially, it's where we side. We don't know. Because I genuinely don't know. I can't figure out whether he's meant to get the book and he's meant to do it, and that's what makes Obi do all of his research, because then he's got the original book or whatever that Kang had.
But his completed book is the one that was given to Kang.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It's a temporal paradox. So it would be one would need the other's work to complete theirs, which would then be given to the other, and so on and so on and so on, which means that in a temporal paradox, you can't break that loop, or it would be virtually impossible to break that loop. But that wouldn't make any sense because time doesn't exist within the TVA. Which means that, so how long has OB had that? Has it been hundreds and hundreds of years? Well, if that's the case, does that mean that they still need to pull that same research from Victor Timely? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, is it the same Kang's work, or is it just always the variants that always work on the same kind of thing? Like Rick and Morty, again, we keep going back to it, but it's a good thing. But, like, the Ricks, from what I gathered anyway, they always invent, they're always... Well, I think most of them anyway are all super geniuses. They're always the most intelligent person in their universe. They always invent multi-dimensional travel, and as soon as they do, that's when they're picked up by the other Ricks. So, does that mean that all the Timelies are all capable of this, or is it just some ones? Or it's without the show specifically saying this is what's going on. It is very much just it's time. It's just time stuff. Don't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
That which. Potentially, that could just be the case where it's just like, it doesn't matter that much.
No, because it doesn't... You don't sit there for the whole episode going, wait, well, what? Like, because you just kind of go along with it. And I suppose the general gist is probably, as long as Timely starts his research, the TVA will be created.
But then that means that...
I don't know.
But then that means that it would always have to be... No, it's going to take 20 minutes to try and explain what I'm on about, which probably doesn't count to anything anyway, so it doesn't worry too much. Also, the fact that Obi managed to knock up an incredible fucking model in the space of about 5 minutes.
Not to scale, though.
I love that. It's just that giant loom thing that's got a big sign under it saying not to scale. Did he make that as well, or did he just have a not to scale sign that was just hanging around?
I assume he made it.
Incredible work. I love that guy so much.
I'm actually embarrassed to show you guys.
I know. Also, slight amount of disappointment that Miss Minutes managed to crush all of the Minutemen, and we didn't see any of it.
I mean, why would we?
Well, because I wanted to know if it was just going to be a big goo pile on the floor, or if there'd be a perfect cube.
It would be, I assume, a cube, and then bits have slopped off, because when Thingy comes in, to find them all dead. Obviously, it doesn't. It doesn't show us, but she's horrified. So there's going to be like, it's just going to be like blood and bone soup.
But at that point where there's that many smushed into a little tiny box, let's just say it's the size of a baked bean can, for example's sake, because that way you know you've definitely killed everyone. There's no way anyone's surviving that. So either that means that the cube thing that squishes them is coming at them from all possible sides, which means it's from the floor as well. Because otherwise they'd just be smushed into the floor, like Play-Doh.
That's what it was, wasn't it? It was came up from underneath, because when Loki's squashing thing, he has to put his he's like hunched over, but he's got his like one of his feet up as well. He's just like
right.
Which we didn't see that in this.
I just think that depending on how small that goes, it would be. It's like, like when you compress like water or like water and like paper or whatever, or like paper mulch, that sort of like watery fluidy kind of thing, and you compress it down as hard as you possibly can, not by hand obviously, but through some hydraulic press, because there's so much pressure on it, it solidifies. Like, I thought that's what she'd walk into. She'd just open it up and it would just be a flesh cube, but because it's so compacted, like none of the blood would escape and everything was just crushed.
I imagine if that's what it did, it would have showed you, because again, it's just a square.
Yeah, so I'm a little disappointed by that, but I'm also sort of like, it's a Marvel Disney thing, so yeah, I guess you can't have a cube of mushed up people.
I had the impression that it was like obviously it would have cubed for a bit, but then it's just going to go, and he's just going to blood.
Maybe
blood and shit everywhere.
Yeah,
which is why they didn't show it, because like I say, if it was just like a meat cube, you could show that.
Maybe, but I'm more concerned that they've got this prison. One, don't put all your prisoners in one prison cell. Stupid. They're going to talk to each other and figure out a way of explaining like how to escape. Ridiculous. Don't do that. Two, don't leave the compressing a person into a cube forever machine in the fucking room. Ridiculous.
Well, I think that was Loki's fault, wasn't it?
But either way, stupid. Three, no cameras. No one's watching what's going on in there at all. There's no window, no nothing, no. So someone could just pop in there.
Because they'd look like, these are all traitors. So they're probably just like, I don't give a shit, they get fucking killed. Leave the squashing machine in there. But
what if they use that to squash the door?
I mean, to be honest, what if they moved it so that when like Mobius or Loki or someone walked through the door, then they turn the machine on?
Well, they need the control unit in order to turn the machine on, so they can't use it.
You hotwire it.
No, I'm sure they would have done that by now. Also, I thought they were tracking Renslayer's temp pad. So as soon as she opened a door straight into that fucking prison, how were they not on her immediately?
I mean, that's what you were led to believe, Dan, but clearly they forgot.
Oh, do you reckon Casey's a double agent?
Oh, nah, he's too nice.
Yeah, you're probably right,
yeah. That'd be a complete betrayal.
Yeah.
Everyone would feel that. What if it's OB?
Oh, what a twist. That he's a Kang variant. What an incredible twist that would be. Everyone's a variant at some point. So yeah, just all of those soldiers that just dead, gone. Right, so that's it. They're crossed out.
I did like that the only reason X5 didn't join them was because he still wants to be an actor.
I know, but I also the fact that he didn't move, technically. He didn't go and stand by Renslayer, and he didn't move. He just stood where he was, and they were just like, that's good enough. Kill everyone else, though.
Yeah, he just kind of vaguely turned his head a little bit, just to not see.
I mean, to be fair, mate, I wouldn't want to watch that.
No, I don't.
Mates that you've known for literally ever just getting squished into a cube. Nah.
I'm not judging him for not watching, but I'm judging him for not either go and stand by Renslayer and make you.
Okay, so commit either way.
Yeah, or go and stand next to them. One or the other.
Also, he's an actor in the 60s or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't even get cocaine in the 60s, can you?
I don't know. I haven't tried in any years.
Like, what? It's just if you surely if you wanted to.
Surely they had cocaine back then.
I don't. I honestly, mate, I do not know. But it's the benefits of being an actor in the 60s can't compare to being an actor in like now.
I don't know. Maybe pay less tax.
I don't think actors pay too much as it is,
They
mate.
don't
If I'm
pay
honest.
any tax. That's why most of them go to prison.
Yeah. But okay, yeah. But he's sort of like, okay, well, I'll kind of reluctantly, like, you've just killed everyone else, so I might as well join you now. It's too late to back out. Miss Minutes is just an absolute fucking psychopath, really, isn't she?
I did love the fact that even Renslayer, well, like, her face was a bit like, ugh. But Miss Minutes is just like, yeah, fuck yeah. Squash
I've
them
been
up,
waiting to do
fuck
this
them.
for fucking years.
She's getting so evil. I love it.
I know, yeah. So then we got sort of like, it's a bit of a, you probably won't, I don't think you watch the show, so I don't think you'll get the reference, but there's a very Dirt Gently holistic detective. Have you seen Dirt Gently? Yeah.
Dirt Gently.
So obviously, right in the first season of Dirt Gently, when Elijah Wood's doing his hotel stuff, he opens a lift opens, or he goes around a corner and he sees himself. And it's not until like right at the end of the season that you understand how he's kind of ended up seeing himself. I won't say anything more than that because it is a really good show. So we do kind of get a sense of that, where we get, as soon as Sylvie went into that lift and the door shut, I was like, oh, this is that Sylvie. That's the one that he zipped forward to in time. So when he was pruned by himself.
Yeah, which we did say.
Yeah, which makes sense. Again, if you're zipping around time. So that made me think, though, so you might be able to explain this to me. So when we first see that Loki, it's after Kang's been killed. TVA is kind of collapsing a bit because it's when, well, he kind of goes back, he meets OB, and OB's like, okay, well, if you're going forward into time and in like backwards into time, whatever, you got to take this thing that will help track you, and then that's what Mobius puts the thing into to pull him through time if he gets pruned. Am I right in that?
Yeah, so basically, when it turns green, he has to prune himself, because that means Mobius has got the loom thing ready.
Yeah. But surely, but I thought the point of being pruned is that it removed you from all time and space or whatever. Like, so you never existed?
All the other ones. And then basically it'll suck that particular version of Loki would go, and then he'd be the only one.
But then
that's what I got from it. Whether that's right, I don't know.
Okay, so he's still, so it's not a different version of him or whatever. It's the same one, just from a different point in time. Which means that, again, that's another temporal paradox, because that means that he would have to be there at that point in time to get pruned in order to be pulled from the mess of timelines and then go back to just being one of them.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. This is just from one episode, this. Mental. Okay, but yeah, that's fine. So, as we thought, he
but
did
it is something that they do vaguely try to explain it. Like when they're saying to him, like, if you don't hurry up and get out, you're going to get turned into spaghetti. But if you don't prune yourself at the right time, then you're just going to get sucked through all the time and space and split apart. And
right, okay,
else.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So they do try and explain it. But even with that knowledge, in this particular episode, when it actually happens, and obviously we find out how he managed to prune himself, it still doesn't make that much sense.
Well, it means that in order for him to be able to prune himself, he would have had to have been pruned at the right time.
Yeah. But so, like you say, that meant Loki being in that corridor at that exact moment.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's what it... Yeah. So he would have to... The only way that he could have been there in order to prune himself is if he was pruned at the right time and in the right place. So it'll always circle back to that same thing, because presumably that pruned Loki would then be zipping back through the timeline in order to come back and do it. So that part of it makes sense. I do love the bait and switch, though, that there's just a mystery phone call that they linger on for about 2 minutes, and it's just OB just like, hello, you right?
Where have you been?
What have you been doing, for fuck's sake? Not taking any longer to answer the phone.
But because I'll be honest, like when you heard it on the episode, it's going to be Kang or something.
Sinister as shit.
Minutes.
Yeah.
But it's just like, yeah. I did like that when they're talking and they're saying like, but if we reset the system, that's going to turn the magic dampeners off, so people can use magic in the TVA. And it's like, turn it off.
Yeah, do it now. It's like, do you have any idea how much easier that's going to make everything? And then it doesn't take him long. Instantly, like, right, how can we use magic to fuck this system back over again? So then we get to pretty much I'd say pretty much from the squishing from that point onwards is all kind of like, it's a bit more holy shit.
Yeah.
So X5, he's obviously pruned one of his old mates. He gets Victor Timely over to Renslayer in Miss Minutes so that they can go. What was it they needed from him? They just needed him.
They didn't say they just where's the device. That's all they said.
Yeah, they were after his multi-loom knitting machine thing. But they've reset Miss Minutes, so she's out of the game. Or maybe, who knows? It might be backups or whatever. X5 goes out to investigate after all the power goes off. Sylvie mind controls him, just sends him straight back into the room, and he prunes Renslayer. Just there and there, just whoosh, gone. Yeah. So that I was like, huh. So she's just not a threat anymore then, I guess. She's just gone forever. Okay. Which is why I was saying, like, if you're doing any sort of like general army war stuff, it would have to be flashbacks now, because unless it, again, just grab a variant, it's fine.
I mean, that's potentially what Miss Minutes will do.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Also, do you reckon that was a Jurassic Park reference with the everyone trying to access the temp pads and whatever, and she's just going, I
mean, potentially, or they've just gone, they want Miss Minutes in there to visualise to people to say she's the one that's kicked them out.
Maybe. It felt very Dennis Nedry. So yeah, just that's it. Just Redslayer's just gone now. X5 is just sort of like, wait, what the fuck? But yeah, there's just it's just a device or a thing within the TVA that can just turn off magic. That's kind of mental to me. Because
who do you think Kang fought? You know, because they didn't just go, we need something that stops magic. They couldn't have just come up with that reasoning. There must have been a reason for it. So someone like Doctor Strange had shown up, and then they've gone, right, we need to put a stop to this kind of bollocks.
Well, maybe, but again, if this Victor Timely or I don't know, any of the Kang, like, if they know of magic and they've faced it before, then they'd have to create something to stop them having that advantage.
Maybe it was him meeting Loki.
But again, like, that's it. When he's created the TVA in the future, he can be like, well, you know, time we can keep this outside of time and space and whatever, but there's definitely magic that can come in and fuck things up. So we better have something that can stop magic from. Like, do you reckon it's a spell, or do you reckon it's like a tech thing?
It'll be a tech thing, won't it?
I guess, yeah, because if they just turn the power off and then that just turns it off, like that, that seems like an incredibly useful thing to have in general. It's like a magic. Like
magic the dampening
field thing.
Magic the dampening.
I just take that to Asgard or something, and just they're all useless.
But that's what I mean. Like, something must have happened to cause them to create such a device. So
like
that if anybody came to them,
like an insanely powerful thing to have that could just stop magic.
Who else would be able to access the TVA? Because like Hulk ain't going to jump there, is he?
Well, no, because it doesn't exist. It's not like on an island somewhere.
No. But I mean, like, I imagine there would be a magic, like, Doctor Strange.
Oh, you could just portal into it.
That's what I mean.
Potentially, but that means that he would need to know that it exists, which I would be very much surprised if they did. Because if think of it like if it was Superman looking for things, but it's in a lead box, he's never going to be able to know about it. Like, if it's a magic field around it, like an anti-magic field, you wouldn't be able to detect it with magic, would you?
Maybe it's it is a sort of oh my god, I forgot what they're called. Professor X, Fantastic Four, Illuminati. It is a kind of, so they know about it.
I don't know, because again, it seems like you're well, we can't really stop this huge threat. Let's call in some help from the TVA, and we can have backup from all of time and space. And, like, it seems like it's because that's why Loki was just sort of like, wait, what? Like when he got there.
I don't mean them specifically. I just mean there is people that are aware.
I that's the thing. I don't think there is. I think that this is because it's so unbelievably powerful. Like, if anyone knew about it, they would be drawn to try and take it. Well, again, which is exactly what we're seeing here. Like, it's people vying for power over it. Because if you control it, then you technically control all of time. All of time.
And the way it's going, that's going to be Loki.
I mean, or one of them.
He's going to be the head of the TVA. One of us is going to have to die.
I guess so, but whichever one that is.
It won't be Hiddleston.
But again, he could be. You kill him off and go, we'll bring him back. It's alright, it's another one.
I suppose, yeah.
Like, it's you just this is the thing, because this place is just like an infinite power factory. You could do anything with it and just go, oh, we've got a machine in the back that can just clone a person's body and their entire memories exactly before the moment before they died. Yeah, I could just whip one of those up for you. Takes me 20 minutes.
Do you reckon that one of the Kang variants has got a suit that's got this dampener in?
Ooh, like he's an anti-magic Kang, like a support unit.
No, because I'm just thinking, like, now they've got the powers. There's not a lot in the TVA that could stop them.
Because, like, if you just had it's just a device that you could just wear, and Doctor Strange's like, right, magic fire. It's like, nah, it doesn't work. Like he can hit you with it, but it just doesn't affect you because magic won't affect you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean. Like,
it's not a real thing.
Like the Sorcerer Supreme and like all the sorcerers are supposed to be like these incredibly powerful things, but if you've got something that already would nullify the power of Infinity Stone, and then you combine that with something that can nullify the effects of magic as well, like no one could, literally no one could stop you.
So is that what they're classing the stones as magic?
No, I don't think so. No, I just think that because they need the rules of a universe in order to work. So one controls space, but if you're outside of space, it doesn't work. One controls time, but if you're outside of time, then it doesn't work. So
but that's what we were saying their powers was. That's why the powers didn't work within the TVA. But
no, because like Scarlet Witch's powers wouldn't work because they are based, like they come from the Infinity Stone, don't they?
No, but I mean, like Loki in particular. Like when we were saying it before, like obviously when they're within a time, whatever period that is.
Well, that's what we thought,
work.
But it's not that, is it? It's
just they've flipped a switch.
Yeah, they've got a big satellite dish on top that just turns magic off.
They've got a stream deck with a shortcut.
Yeah, so maybe if it was like something so. Again, with like Wanda's powers, if that's come from an Infinity Stone, but it still requires the same universal law that the Infinity Stone would need to work, potentially, if you took her to the TVA, she'd be completely depowered. Because the effects of the Infinity Stones don't work there.
Don't work. And Vision would cease to exist.
Well, no, he's still a robot that works. It's just that he's powered by...
Not many powers, though, would he?
Well, he probably wouldn't be able to fly whenever, but he'd still work.
Trying to think who else. Who else has got powers from an Infinity Stone?
Quicksilver, I guess, but he's already dead. Her kids, like her weird imaginary kids.
Yeah, but we don't know if they actually exist anymore or not.
Yeah, and she's kind of
stuff.
she's kind of created them out of her own imagination or something. But
well, those ones she did, but like the other ones exist.
Oh, like in the other universe that she took over. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But either way, though, so they've now got magic within the TVA, and then it all culminates to right. They've got Victor Timely back. Renslayer's out of the picture. Miss Minutes is out of the picture. There's nothing that can stop him now. They put his head in a weird like scan machine thing.
I like that it wasn't just like a face scanner.
Yeah, he didn't just have to put his hand on it, or it's just he had to pass through an archway. So it's like, no, it's just a big hole that you just put your head into. Ding, done.
Half an MRI machine.
Also, does that mean that he programmed the computer with his temporal aura and calling himself He Who Remains? Because it came up, it was like, ding, ding, welcome, He Who Remains. Did you call yourself that?
He must have done. He had
Prick.
to.
But also, at the point he would have written that, he isn't all that remains. Oh, or
No.
does he mean all that remains of the Kangs? Maybe he means
yeah,
that instead of like
Well, he's at the edge of time, isn't he? So...
Yeah, but so was fucking Renslayer.
Oh no, he sent her back, and I wiped
Yeah,
the memory.
but that could have been like you'd already built the TVA by that point, so it could have been 20 minutes before Sylvie rocked up.
Do you think they had? Well, no, because he does say how long he's been there, doesn't he? When they're talking, but do you think they would have had like matching mugs, like he and she who remains?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Maybe if she'd stuck her head in there, it would have said she who remains. That would have been good.
Maybe, yeah.
But then he's like, they're all talking about hoofing it down the fucking the catwalk again. He puts on the crazy spacesuit. He's hoofing it way faster than Owen Wilson. I'll give him that.
When Obi was saying like, he's like, you've got to be as fast as you can, and I was like thinking back, and I was like, Owen Wilson could barely move.
Yeah. So that means that he either needs to be super strong, but like he's absolutely going quicker, which means that Owen Wilson could have gone quicker. So lazy. But he goes out instantly spaghettified. Instantly. And I've just written, timely, killed instantly. Shit. Like, no dramatic, just spaghetti. Immediately. And I was like, okay. And then the loom explodes.
The exact thing they didn't want to happen.
Yeah, which means that now we're halfway through this season. And
no, more than that.
Well, no, that was episode 4, that.
Yeah, there's only 6.
Oh, is there only 6? Is there? I thought there was 8. Sorry,
I'm basing this on the last season because there was only 6 on the last season.
Then yeah, that would be a reasonable assumption. Okay, so we're just over the halfway point, but that means that the loom, maybe not the loom, but time itself has collapsed in on itself as a huge temporal explosion, and then just that's it. It's just done. Which means that we have
maybe that was the last one.
No idea literally what's going to happen here. It could have just been, it could be a big explosion that goes out and then it goes whoop and just gets sucked back in on itself and it restarts the timeline.
Would be.
Or, well, no, it can't actually kill them all.
No, they ain't going to be dead because we've got a minimum of 2 episodes.
Exactly,
left.
That's what I mean. Like, you can't just go, and then they all died.
Or maybe this is where we see the flashbacks. Just 2 episodes.
It could be, but like there's one glaring problem that I have with this, Callum, and I'm hoping that if I say this, you can just go, no, you're an idiot because of blah. The magic is back online. Why would Loki not just give one of his clones the machine and send him out into the temporal thing?
No, Dan, because blah. I don't know. I had the same question. There was 0 reason for Timely to go out, other than the fact that he wanted to do something good.
Well, I mean, I get that, and that's okay, but you've got 2 people who are gods, you've got a bunch of other people who technically either have always existed or have never existed. I mean, his argument of, well, I can fix something if something goes wrong. I'm sorry, mate, but no, you can't. Like, there's a lot of intricate machinery that's going on there, and you've got giant fucking, like, deep-sea diver gloves on. You've got no finesse in that whatsoever. It's like, you know, like when an astronaut goes on a spacewalk, and they like have to fix a panel of or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they've got like 100 tools with them to like help make like really sort of like intricate things. But like this, it's not like you've got to like do a bit of soldering or something like that. Like you just don't have the dexterity for it. And that's just a big giant suit that you can just sort of clump about in. There's no way you could do any repair works with that, mate. Sorry. And if you had to stop in order to do it, too late. Like, you haven't got the time for that. You've got enough time to get out there and slap it in the hole, and that's about it.
At bare minimum, they should have done a test. I know they didn't really have a lot of time, but they should have done, here's a Loki clone, he's got the suit on, he's gone out. Oh, he's spaghettified. We can't go out. How else could we do it?
But I don't know, because, like, have we ever seen his hologram things? Like, do they ever have a physical force?
Of course they can. Because, like, for starters, he had them shadows grabbing X5.
No, but I'm not talking. You can't really get a shadow to carry something. But like,
why? Of course you can. If they were physically restraining someone,
because you'd have to have him create the shadow, which means that you need to be out there.
But what I'm saying is, with the shadow, there's no difference with the shadow than to a clone.
Well, maybe it's if you think of it like magic rope, so you could like tie someone up with it, but you couldn't get it to carry a thing and put it into a specific hole for you.
I reckon there's bound to be examples where he's done it.
I don't know.
I mean, there is in the cartoon.
Well, the cartoon, that doesn't mean anything in this fucking context.
I'm trying to think of like Avengers and stuff where it's happened.
No, because like whenever he's been a hologram, like someone goes to jump him or whatever, they go straight through him.
Yeah.
Or like peel off. I don't think I've seen like. Otherwise, I've not seen like 8 Loki clones battering someone. They'll use them as a distraction rather than like it's a physical force that can.
Yeah, but like I say, if he can do it with a shadow, he can do it with a clone.
I don't know that. I mean, but again, double it up. You've got 2 Lokis, double powers.
Yeah. Well, at least a force field.
Again, it's carrying a thing to a specific place and doing it. And you can't see it from the end of that fucking catwalk.
No,
like
control
room.
Like both him and Sylvie go out. One's doing a force field, like piggybacking.
But again, we haven't seen him do a force field.
He'll be able to.
We see like you Scarlet Witches or whatever. They've done a thing and like stop bullets and whatever, you know. And you can kind of like. But again, it would also be creating a field that could stop raw time, which I just don't think they're powerful enough to do.
Like majority of Loki's powers, because he's the god of mischief, they're like pranks.
Yeah, he could like make a fart noise across the room or whatever, but
I mean, I wasn't thinking that, but yeah,
it's not really this sort of thing where he could just like take the pure power of time to the face and then survive it. Like it wasn't as if like Timely just aged really quickly. He was just spaghettied instantly. Like the second he stepped out, gone, dead. And also, if you want to really think about it, he was spaghettied immediately, right? The second that he fucking stepped out, dead. That explosion happened very quickly afterwards. Which makes me think that even if he hadn't been spaghettified, he never would have reached the machine thing to put it in.
I don't know, the speed he was going, he probably would.
Maybe you could have got there, but again, if you needed to fix the thing, it like you wouldn't have had the dexterity, and the time would have exploded before you'd even attempted it before you got there.
Like OB knows how to fix things, and is like, I mean, I've got an idea for this, but it might not work. When they were put it together, why did they think, right, we need to build this fucking long road all the way to the end of the
well,
where
probably
the
because you
loom
don't
is?
want to be anywhere near that. Like it would melt the TVA or whatever if it was too close.
But you could still have it that far. But
I'd say put a
that,
fucking escalator or something on it.
But that's what I'm saying. So like, rather than going across the top where all the fucking like essence of time is flying around, you go underneath it and then come up in the lift, like directly at it,
just
like a Futurama tube. They've not thought about the construction of this at all.
Well, again, maybe they didn't think that they'd have to go out there and stop it from exploding.
No, there's no chance. Like if they've come up, like they've put magic dampeners on, they've got the best key lime pies in the world. They've got all the they can make doors to go to wherever you want to go. They've got these devices that can prune people from out of existence. They must have had a thing where they go, right, if this X thing happens, we need to be able to fix it.
But that's the whole hubris of it, though. They go, well, that's impossible. It can't go wrong. It's the same. Like Loki's there, and they're like, oh, he's jumping between time. It's like you can't do that with TVA. It's impossible.
Suppose, yeah. So they've just gotten to the point where they're like untouchable.
Yeah, and again, this is on the assumption that Kang is still alive and kind of keeping everything in check. So if he's not doing that and everything goes fucking haywire, from that point onwards, everything is going to be like nothing's going to be doing what it should be doing. But at this episode of all of them that's happened so far, this is the one where I'm like, I have literally no idea what the hell's going to happen next episode.
I think in terms of the best episode, I don't think this is the best one. But like I said, the last 10 minutes, probably better than all of the other ones.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just in terms of like, wait, what? Like they're dead, and that's just it now.
This is, I think we had this a lot in the first season. Not this level of what the fuckness, but there was a lot of episodes and a lot of times within the episodes of season 1 where it finished, and you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on. Mental. But this season's been a bit more subdued, and I can't really think of another example of this so far.
But yeah, I agree. Like, it's, especially in the sense of I don't know how you come back from that either. It explodes out and then it zips back in again. But it's like a hard reset for time if you think of it like that.
You think it's just gonna like do that and just go, and then like go fade to black and then come back up, and then they all get like they've got like 4 hearts and then one just flashes and disappears, and I've only got 3. Like,
I have literally no idea. Like the only thing that I can think of is that that explodes and it's not really an explosion.
maybe there's no obvious answer. Well, I mean, the obvious answer is they're not dead. They can't be.
Yeah, but if all of time is exploded, then it's not as if they can even just use a temp pad to get the fuck out of there. And plus, presuming that Miss Minutes is still either rebooting or whatever, they wouldn't be able to do that anyway, because like none of the temp pads were working at that point.
No. What if they're the only ones left?
What's it?
Everyone else is gone.
Mate, yeah, that I'd much rather that if they said, okay, well, the lube exploded or all of time exploded, and it's just like instead of it being like a huge sort of like frayed edge coming out of the loom, it's like everywhere. It's just like strands of it all over the place. So it's technically not gone. It's just so disrupted that it doesn't work anymore. But the TVA is still fine, so they have to find a way of like reassembling everything. So instead of all of like the realities outside of the TVA are either gone or they're so broken. It's like being in like Inception or whatever. Like nothing makes sense. Physics don't work. Like everything is just broken. And then they got to like reassemble, and they're like making like a new sacred timeline, which means that certain things maybe like, oh well, the loom thread that had venom in it, well, that's part of the sacred timeline now, because that's just how we've had to knit it together. Oh, these other billion things with like all these X-Men in it, they're going to be put back in. Like, we're just going to have to bodge it together, and then that'll be your new MCU canon timeline.
Mobius.
Who knows?
I mean, that'd be a relatively easy way of shoehorning the X-Men into.
Yeah, because they just go, well, they do exist in one version of the universe.
Yeah.
Now they're in this one.
Oh, they're in it. And it just so happens to be around about the time the new animated started.
Because all you'd have to do is just say, like, all right, oh, well, OB, I've made another machine. I can fix it, I think. But it's only going to be restoring it back to like 95% of its original. Like, the other 5% is going to be shit I don't know.
That's a good theory.
I'd like to, because again, it kind of opens up a lot more sort of like, okay, well, what if it changes certain aspects of things that have happened? So instead of your Captain Marvel stuff and all the Skrulls came through and they were all good, well, actually, no, with this new temporal timeline that we've stitched together, actually it's the Skrulls as they were supposed to be, and they're all a bunch of pricks.
Yeah. Well, it'd be easier. And like,
because that way you can write out Secret Invasion and no one has to worry about that anymore.
It kind of rectifies a lot of the bad things that have happened up to now, and potentially Robert Downey Jr. is back as Iron Man because this one didn't die. But we'd said it before with the snap, like that'd be a good way of bringing the X-Men into it, because when everything comes back, it's not quite as it was before. Now there's mutants and whatnot. Obviously that didn't happen. Then you've got like Wanda, and then you got Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Didn't do it in that either. And I can't think of another way of doing it, because if they don't do it in this, and they kind of, like you said, they stitch things back together, but it's not quite as it was. But this now sacred timeline has mutants. If they don't do that, and then obviously we know that there are a minimum of 2, because we've got 3. Sorry, because you got Thingy and Scarlet Witch movie. He was a mutant.
What?
What's his name? The guy Red Guardian beats in the prison. You know which one I mean?
I don't know what you're on about.
So in the Scarlet Scarlet
Callum, speak English for fuck's sake.
Black Widow. I forgot her name for a brief second. You know in Black Widow?
Yes.
The film.
Oh, yeah.
When Ren Guardian's in prison and he breaks that guy's hand.
Yeah.
That guy's a mutant. I can't remember his name.
So they say, but there's just not been...
Well, you've got him, plus you've got Namor, plus you've got... what's her face? Miss Marvel. They're, like, confirmed mutants.
Yeah.
But then you can't go, oh, so here's the X-Men.
But that's what I mean. Like, if you go, well, in this other timeline, there was still Miss Marvel and she was still a mutant. There were still these other two people in there. But so were all the rest of them. But
that's what I'm saying. I agree. Like, if they do that, it works out. But if they don't do that, and then they just introduce the X-Men, like, next year or whatever, they go, where the fuck have you been for everything else that's been going on?
Yeah.
So like I say, the snap was a good way of doing it. The multiverse stuff was a good way of doing it. They didn't do that. This is probably the best way of doing it. So I really hope they do. Because like I say, like no matter what they say, they go, "Oh, we don't want to get involved." You haven't got a fucking choice in a lot of these situations. So you can't just go, "Nah, we'll let the Avengers deal with it."
Again.
Like you've got to do something. But no, because again, it's referenced in She-Hulk. Wolverine, he's referenced in it.
Is he?
Yeah, they're on about a bar fight with a guy with claws in his hands. Which doesn't specifically say Wolverine, but it's obviously.
True, but there was also, like, she was literally doing, like, nods at the cameras, just like, wait, remember that? Oh, reference.
Yeah,
I don't think that's, like, it's not like in fucking... it was either Civil War or Ant-Man, at the end of Ant-Man, or something like that. She was, like, Falcon's talking to some reporter or something. She's like, yeah, I know some people. I know a guy who climbs walls. Obviously a Spider-Man reference, but they didn't have Spider-Man at that point. But then they did. So, yeah, she probably maybe did know about Spider-Man. Or, like, she was, sort of monitoring social media or whatever, and then some people were saved by Spider-Man. Like, so she caught onto it really early, or something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, that's how Stark tabbed on him, wasn't it?
Yeah,
YouTube
exactly.
Videos.
So, but again, what if she was feeding information, or he hacked her fucking emails or something like that, which is probably more accurate. He was a sinister prick. Or it's purely just it's a funny throwaway line because I can make references to the audience because I know that there's an audience.
I guess.
Either
I
way,
think
though,
it's the best way of doing it, though.
Potentially, but again, I don't think it's going to be anything as complicated as that. It'll be a big explosion, and then all of time stops before the explosion hits because the magic field's been deactivated. And Doctor Strange comes through and goes, right, I've stopped all of time inside this place that time doesn't exist because you turned the magic back on. So I'll help you
fix it,
sort this out, whatever. It could literally be anything at this point. I don't know.
Could it be like Wanda and Strange?
Well, no, she's 100% dead.
Well, no, because it's hinted she's not dead.
No, she squashed herself in a temple. Of course she's dead.
Yeah, but we didn't see her dead, did we?
Yeah, again, if you're not going to show a meat cube of crushed people, you're not going to show a crushed former hero, are you?
They'll bring her back.
Well, no, again, they won't bring her back, but they just go, oh, there's another Wanda from a different dimension, and she's not a prick.
Elizabeth Olsen, because she was asked, like, obviously, with you not coming back, the MCU, and she was like, I don't know if I'm coming back or not. They've never, like, outright said, you're done.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. She could just be, a memory. It could be, like, again, if she's even remotely paying attention to what's going on in this, you go, well, just fuck it, we could just bring you back as the best possible Wanda, the Wanda that didn't get sucked into the Darkhold and turned to the dark
a Wanda
side.
that hasn't got powers from an Infinity Stone, and it's Magneto's daughter. As it
Yeah,
was in the
like
comic.
you just go, yeah, this is classic Wanda, rather than like, but we still want you to come in and play her.
Because it could be, like you say, the thing with these variants is it can be anyone, so you can have anyone come back. This version of Scarlet, which is a man.
Oh no.
I want to
do
listen
that.
to Olsen back.
You couldn't do that in Disney these days.
They have with everyone else, though.
Well, that's what I mean. It goes one way, not the other. But imagine if they so let's say that this re-knitting of time. So it goes right. Okay, everyone, shut up now. You've got your Fantastic Four at some point. Now they exist at some point in some way. Now we can shoehorn them in. You've got your X-Men. They've always been there. It's just that no one remembers. But you don't have a Black Panther anymore. But you don't have a Spider-Man anymore. We'll give you some things, but we're taking some of them out. And it's not just that. What happened to that? But no, they're just gone. They never existed, and that's it. Imagine that.
I don't like that. I mean,
but
again,
that could be the trade-off, though. They go, oh, Tony Stark, who's that? Never existed. No Stark, no nothing.
It would make sense for you. So, all the Guardians have left anyway. Actors. Obviously, Spider-Man's on loan from Sony, and if they turn around and go, well, we've got Wolverine now, so
we don't need it anymore.
We've got a new poster child.
All we'll do is we'll say we've had some really good Spider-Man movies, like live action Spider-Man movies. Sony, you've done your animated ones, and you've probably beaten us in that department. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But you can have Tom Holland back. You can have your Spider-Man rights. We'll write Spider-Man out of this universe so he doesn't exist anymore, and everyone's forgotten about him anyway. So we've already kind of preempted it. You can have the live action one. We've got all of our X-Men back, so we don't need another kind of quippy, cool young teen, whatever. Because then Sony will then take Tom Holland and make their Venom and Morbius universe, ruin it for everyone, and then they'll probably have to sell the rights back to Marvel anyway. So they can write Spider-Man out because they know that they'll get him at some point. Yeah.
I mean, I will say, I've been playing Spider-Man 2 over the weekend, and I've just unlocked... no, I haven't just unlocked, that's a lie. But one of the unlocks that I've done suit-wise is the 2 Amazing Spider-Man suits. And the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit is still my favourite live-action Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, I do use that a lot in the first one.
It's real good. I've stopped using it now because I've got Superior Spider-Man suit, and I fucking love that suit. But I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man's probably my favourite. It's just the films aren't good. But I think he does a very good job. But I think Tom Holland's your best all-rounder.
Yeah.
I don't like Tobey Maguire. So. They could write him out of the universe. I don't care. But would you prefer that? Because obviously, was it ever confirmed that Venom is within vaguely the same kind of universe because of Vulture?
So Toomes did meet him.
Yeah, and he's in Morbius as well.
Yeah, but he's also at the end of No Way Home. He's also in a bar because he'd been pulled through as one of the people who knows who Peter Parker is, which again I don't understand because there is no Peter Parker in the universe he came from, so I don't quite get that, but whatever. But when he left some of the symbiote behind. Yeah. Which means that now we can have a Venom, or a version of Venom anywhere, a symbiote of some kind, that exists or could exist. They've just dropped it there as well, maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. We'll just it's a thing that we can kind of come back to if we want to. But that means that he's gone back to his own universe because he's just sort of wait, there's a Spider-Man and an Ant-Man and a whatever. So clearly, but that's what I don't understand. At the end of Venom 2, whatever it is, he sees, I think it's the J. Jonah Jameson announcement or whatever, talking about Spider-Man or something, and Venom is oh, that guy.
Yeah.
So
you've never met him.
Yeah, I don't understand how that connection works. How do you know who that is unless you can sense symbiote in another universe?
Yeah, it was kind of loosely, vaguely referenced that the symbiotes can talk to each other, but that would only make sense if Tom Holland had already encountered a symbiote, which he hasn't, or they're going, Maybe it wasn't specifically Tom Holland. It was Spider-Man. So Spider-Man 3.
So we just saw this like the other ones did. They just
only
saw the
just
suit
saw that
and just went, oh, it's the Spider guy. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that's how they've gone. That's how we knew who Peter Parker was. Because obviously, like Venom 2 came out before No Way Home.
Yeah.
So that symbiote was referencing the Tobey Maguire Peter Parker.
So he recognises the suit and the spider person in the suit, sure.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have seen that during the Tom Holland thing because there is no Spider-Man in that universe. But at the end of Venom 2, though, when they're in the hotel room, whatever, and he sees them on TV, is that supposed to be the same as when they're in the bar in No Way Home?
Yeah.
So that both of those interactions are supposed to be at the same point where he's crossed into the MCU and then he's sucked back.
Yeah, so like Venom 2 happened, like, 'cause if I remember, and I could be wrong on this one, but is when that was like kind of rewrote in on the events of No Way Home.
Oh, I see. So they kind of tied them together.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right, okay.
Something like that, anyway. But, like I said, I've only just thought the same as Doc Ock and Green Goblin, where it's just people who knew who Peter Parker was. So, again, they thought it was Tobey Maguire. That could be the same for the symbiote, who's got the thoughts of the other symbiote from Spider-Man 3.
That is a hell of a leap, if that's the case.
It is. And the fact that it's took us
the weakest possible connection that they could have made to get Tom Holland in the MCU for 35 seconds and then fuck him straight back off to Sony.
It took us 2 years to get to that point. And we accidentally maybe stumbled on it.
Yeah, maybe. Ugh, gross.
And it was still better written than any of the Venom movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen Venom 2 for a while. I might watch that tonight again.
No, it's awful. Like, if I've got to watch a Venom film, I don't like either. I'll watch the first one every single time. Every time. And I'll still stand by. I think visually, they did a good job of Venom.
Yeah. It's certainly, of the two that we've seen so far, versions of
live
him,
action ones.
Yeah, he's the better one.
Yeah.
He's not the best that he could be, but he's a hell of a lot closer than they got the first time around.
He's not PS5 Venom good.
But that's what I mean. Just do it properly. Why would you not do it properly?
Thing is,
eating fucking people's heads and shit. What a waste. They've
got the rights to Spider-Man.
Oh, Callum, I'm not talking about fucking Venom on a Loki Spoilercast.
We're in Loki. So, when do you think Venom's going to show?
Now that, big explosion, and then Venom slaps against the window like a big rubber Garfield. Also, again, it could just be a complete coincidence, but when Victor walks out into the time, whatever, and gets spaghettified, he looks very similar to Mr. Fantastic when he gets spaghettified by Scarlet Witch.
I think it's just a case of the editing team have got that plug-in on After Effects.
Just go, spaghetti this person, done, next.
Yeah. They did it to Mr. Fantastic. They reference it like 2 or 3 times in the episode when...
Yeah, it's like, if it all goes wrong, you'll get spaghettied. Yeah.
So it's not a shock when we see it happen. But I do think that they've just gone, just use the same one. But yeah, but does that mean they don't have the device that they needed to get to the loom? They haven't got it anymore.
Well, I assume it's just outside.
Yeah, but they can't go get it, can they?
Probably not without getting spaghettied themselves. But if he's just a dude, then clearly he can't deal with the amount of power that's in there. But a god would probably stand a better chance. Because if time doesn't affect them in the same way that it does a normal dude.
A very good point. Because it's the same thing that they said for, like, when Tony Stark does the snap. Obviously, he can't handle the surge of the power.
Yeah,
whereas someone like Captain Marvel could, or even Hulk to a lesser extent.
But it does, because he uses it, brings everybody back, and he's okay. He's fucked up, but he's okay.
Yeah.
And yet Tony Stark, he does it to just kill a bunch of people, and that kills him.
Yeah, but that's why they specified it to say you're just a man, you can't do it. Cap, you're just a man, you can't do it. Whereas the power of the Hulk, the power of Captain Marvel, probably some other people that may have been there.
But he needed to be able to grab hold of Thanos in order for the nanites on his suit to take all the stones off him.
To get it. It's how the story played out.
That means that he'd have to nick the ball and then throw them to Captain Marvel and be like, quick, kill them all, quick.
I mean, which they could have done.
They could have done, but it would have been, what a pussy move from Tony Stark.
But the same logic might affect, it might work here, where say, Timely's gone through, got spaghettified because he's just a bloke. The two gods, however, might at least make it to the loop. They might not make it back, but they might make it there to slap it in and do whatever. Obviously, we're not going to find out because they were all inside. And I do like how Loki's like, I'll do it. I got my powers back now, so I'll do it. And then Timely's like, no, I'll do it. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, okay. Only guy who could open the doors again, and
there's no back and forth.
What if there's another door that needs a Kang aura to open it, or you've got to do a hard reset, but only he can do. Well, he's dead forever now.
Maybe OB did a cast of his head.
Yeah, that was a cloning machine.
Maybe that's really what that machine was. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun if he was just I just needed to just get said his DNA so I could clone him.
Just in case something went wrong.
Here's the actual He Who Remains.
Or here's a Futurama head in a jar.
I'd be a lot less scary if he was a head in a jar.
This is the only bit we need. So,
yeah, you can just make him a robot suit or whatever.
Yeah, just be like Mysterio then, with a fishbowl head.
Yeah.
But no, it was an okay episode. It felt like a filler episode until the end.
Yeah, I agree.
And then after that, it just kind of just went a bit more of the weird Loki that we had from the first season. And I don't know where it's going to go. Whether we've got 2 or 4 episodes left, I generally don't know where it's going to go, which is good.
Yeah, that's what you want. I mean, but it's not cliffhangery in the sense of dun dun dun. It's just I don't know how they're going to fix it. But that's the thing. There could be 1,000 different ways of getting out of this. But because it's not very clear, there's just all of time has exploded. What do you think's happened? Everyone's going to have their own particular opinions and views on what it is, or if it was a dream or whatever.
Yeah, might not even be real.
Right?
That'd be a cop-out.
I mean, that seems more likely than they restitch time together and just get all the X-Men.
I want that to happen.
Well, tough, mate. I'm sorry, I came up with it, but I can tell you definitively that is not what's going to happen, I'm afraid.
I mean, the Renslayer variant thing was a more interesting twist than what we actually got. The stitching time together to bring the X-Men and Fantastic Four and stuff in is a lot better. Unlikely to happen, but again, if they want to bring the X-Men in, I don't know what they're going to have planned, but I can't see anything better than this is such a good time to do it, excuse the pun, where it isn't, there's no real questions. Yeah. It's all they've got to do is go, we've stitched time back together, it's not how it was, but it's the best that we can do. Yeah. And then here's people that are here now, just not reference people that are missing. We know why they're missing, so you don't even need to fucking talk about it.
But that's the thing, though. If you go, okay, well, we've got, we've got X-Men, but everyone knew that there was mutants and X-Men. That would be the problem. Is that all of a sudden you could never reference, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. But they weren't needed in order to.
Well, just get rid of the ones that aren't working too well. So the Eternals, that didn't happen, and Secret Invasion, that didn't happen.
Now that would be a proper reboot. It's just we'll just trim some of the excess that we don't need, and we'll keep the good stuff.
Makes sense to me.
Yep. But that's not going to happen, so don't worry about it.
Nah, it'll just be they'll wake up and they'll go, and OB will just press a button and the projector will stop and he'll go, and that's what'll happen if we do this.
Yeah, if we don't sort this out in the next hour.
What if they do that and the camera pans out and it's that diorama, the not to scale thing?
I tell you what, if it's that, round of applause, because what a bait and switch that would be.
and it's just like the bright, still the bright light that we saw, like the white light.
And then he goes like, bzzzt, bzzzt,
Yeah.
simulation over, bzzzt, bzzzt.
Not even that. It's just like OB might moving the figures around, and he goes, so you like after you've got your powers back, and then Renslayer gets pruned, and then you go through.
Incredible.
I'd love that.
That would actually be
the X-Men.
Yeah, all of that would be like, oh yeah, and then none of it happened. Like, it'd be so, because it's such a big thing, for it to just be like, and then it didn't happen. Like, what a move. Like, everyone would be absolutely furious with it as well. I'd love it.
I'd love it. And it's just
it would be like, oh, what a ballsy move that was.
Timely. If you don't fasten your shoelaces, this is what happens. You get spaghettified, so make sure your shoelaces are tied.
Oh, amazing.
That'd be so good. But we'll find out this week, Dan, on
this
Friday.
Week indeed. I know, right?
Friday will be episode 5, potentially the penultimate episode, we're not sure. And before that, though, we'll have chapter 1 of our brand new farming series. That'll be going up same day as this, I believe. Obviously, we've got the podcast coming up, and we've got more Let's Plays and other things available on the website, which is what, Dan?
www.podcastfordisplay.com.
There you go. It's all going along the bottom of the screen with the other socials and other things. Dan, I don't know if you got anything else to add.
Yeah, no hair flicks this episode.
No hair flicks. I didn't even notice. I bet there's one going into the next episode.
It's going to have to be the biggest. That's how he's going to stop that explosion. He's going to do the biggest hair flick of all.
Just send time back.
The impact of that flick is going to just send all of that explosion careening back into itself.
Again, I won't hate it. It's creative. I'll give them that.
Imagine that if they just went, oh, we've been doing this since like the first Avengers movie when he popped up. This hair flick, that it's always been a symbol of his power.
He's like Thingy from what's her name from Mortal Kombat? The white hair.
Sindel. I mean, kind of. I'd say more.
She had some moves.
Medusa from fucking Inhumans, but sure.
I suppose. Well, no, because she has a haircut in the Inhumans.
No, I meant the comic version, not the shitty TV version. Although that still apparently exists in canon.
Well, again,
that's another one you can trim from the stitched time together.
And I know we've just wrapped this up, but you know it would be really fucking like visually cool if that happens. For argument's sake, we're right. That's what they do, and they get rid of the ones that performed poorly, bring the X-Men in, whatever, and then you go on Disney Plus, and then the first time after the events happened, you go on Disney Plus, and you go to the Marvels bit, like the Eternals and Secret Invasion and stuff are there, and then it just disappear.
See, I was kind of when the explosion happened and it was like whoop, and it was just done and then just bang credits. Obviously it would be a horrific way of doing it, and it'd be such a baller move. But if you went, oh shit, no way, and then when you exit it out, all the Marvel stuff had gone for you.
That's what I mean. So it just disappears off Disney Plus.
Yeah, completely. It's just gone. Like only when, because again, if you haven't been watching the show and then all of a sudden it's just a whole section of the content that's gone, you'd be like, wait, what? I was going to watch Iron Man, so where the fuck's that gone? But
that's what I mean.
As long as you watched it and you trigger it, just boop, and they're all gone.
Yeah,
that would be incredible. Because then you are literally just sat in darkness, just waiting for because you can't just go back and see if you missed a thing. Like tough, the universe exploded, so that's it. You can't see it anymore.
Would have been interesting if they did that with Endgame. So like the people that went, their films disappeared.
Well, no, they weren't erased from all time and space. They were just dead.
I suppose, yeah. But no, that would be dead good. So it was like if you hadn't watched Loki, everything was still there.
Yeah.
But they won't do that.
It would be impossible to do.
It'd be so good though. Well, no, because it'd be the same algorithm as like, because you've watched Loki, you might like
no,
this.
Mate, that means they would need to know that you've crossed a certain point in an episode. Also, what if you go for a piss, like right at the end or something like that, and you come back and you can't rewind it because the episode's gone.
That's your fault. They go for a piss.
Yeah, no, it would be impossible to do.
Even worse if it's at the cinema. It just goes off.
It knows what time you went to the cinema, what screen you were in. It knows what film was on. As soon as that's done, it deletes your account.
So everything's going along the bottom of the screen again. When we're going to go. And we'll see you on the next one.
Indeed.
Bye!